What's up, everybody? Before we get into today's video, I just want to give you guys a heads up. Around May 10th, I'm going to be recording what is probably my most requested video. Over the years of making YouTube videos, I've gotten a lot of comments from people to basically hear the story of how our companies have gotten to the point of where we are today. Obviously, the companies didn't start out doing what we're doing now, and there has been a lot of growth over the years. So I'm going to sit down with my father and basically interview him. It's going to be more of like a podcast style video. So maybe if you guys enjoy that, I'll venture into the podcast direction. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about, and in this video alone, it might end up being like a two-part video. He started the companies when he was like 16, and obviously there is a ton to talk about in the snow removal world, and then obviously equally as much in the construction world. If you don't know, half the year actually all of the year we're doing the construction end of things. I personally work in the construction end about half of the year because the snow removal is the other half of the year. Most of you guys, I think, watch my channel for the snow removal end, so I might split the video up into one about the snow removal and then one about the construction. I'm not exactly sure yet because they kind of started hand in hand with each other, and then as things grew, they just became their own entities basically, and they just each kept growing independently, but we can't have one without the other. So really, there wouldn't be the snow without the construction, and there wouldn't be the construction without the snow. So I don't really know how the video is gonna go. But anyway, my point is, if you have any questions that you want to ask my father, I will ask them on your behalf. Just leave a comment down below. I'm gonna do a segment in the video that is basically just asking all of the commenters questions, and I'll make sure that I hit on every single one. So leave a comment if you have a question, and I'll definitely go through them. Anyway, let's get into today's video. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're down at our main shop. Behind me here I have this Chevy Silverado 6500, and this is the focus of today. This is actually the truck that the airbags went off on, and you can see this seatbelt is completely locked. We have not sent it up to get all of the repairs made yet. You can see the headliners still blown open and whatnot. All the airbags cut out from when they went off on us. But anyway, this truck is actually going up to get all of the repairs done soon, and while it's up there, we're making some changes to the central hydraulic system on it. A lot of people have not done full central hydraulic setups on these mid-sized trucks here. This is really a smaller truck for snow plowing than a lot of people use, and we are getting rid of the valve here for the salt spreader. In order to run this style of valve, you have to have hoses that run down underneath here, and it creates a pretty big opening in the bottom. These two controllers here are cables to the valve out there, but then in this box here, there are hoses that go up to the spreader control. I'll actually go underneath the truck real quick. Let me grab my phone out, that way we're ready. I'll show you the opening. It's kind of tough to see. We spray foamed it, but you should be able to see up in there. So these four lines right here that my phone is illuminating are the cables for the other controller, and then up there is the hydraulic lines, and they all run up into where it's all spray foamed. You see the cables go on the right side, and then on the left side there, let's see if I can get a better angle. The left side is where all of those hoses go. So we're eliminating all of that, but in order to do that, you need a different spreader control, which is what we have here. So this is an electric to hydraulic spreader control. This is basically a valve just for the spreader, which gets connected to this. You have this in your cab here. You have electric, well, this runs to the battery, and then this runs into the cab and into the back here. One of them goes to the power, one of them goes to your valve here, and then obviously your hoses out of there over to the other side, because that's where all the hydraulic setup. Actually, I'll show you real quick. See, you have your tank here, which all of this is going to be getting changed when we go up there, but tank is getting slid back. The valve is going to get mounted down here, and we're having a custom enclosure made for the valve to keep it out of all of the elements. But anyway, back to this side, we had this ladder here. You can see where it was mounted. We grounded that off yesterday. we're gonna mount that on the back here. That way you can get up on this catwalk. But our plan is to mount this right here. So it is gonna go right there. You have this strut for the catwalk support, and then you have this channel here that also supports it. So we're gonna go right in between them. And our plan is to mount this plate pretty much flush with this. That way, if you ever need to service this valve, the cover is sitting right here. You just take the 4 bolts off of the bottom, 1, 2, 3, and 4, pull the cover off, and you can service it. And then all of your hoses will come down here and run right up to the front and then across or wherever they need to go. Really, they need to get to these 3 lines. These are the returns and these are the feeds. So that's pretty much what we're going to do today. I need to make a template of this plate here. That way I know the correct size to cut this catwalk open. Lock washers right there. We should have this off the plate now. Perfect. Let's go make a template of this. All right, guys, so I have our template here, but after doing some thinking and messing around here, we decided to change plans a little bit. First thing we did was grind this mounting bracket, which was on the end here. This is how they want you to mount it off the frame. Obviously, we're doing something a bit different here. So we grinded that off, and we have this plate here. I got rid of that, and I set the plate down on here, and then I set this lid right back on here where all the holes line up. And it was a little tight on the back side here up against this piece. You can't really see it from this angle, but I slid this out just enough so that this lip on here hits up against that. And then I traced everything, and if you see this soapstone here, this is where we're going to cut. That way we can use these 4 holes, mount this on the plate, and then right down through the catwalk with the 4 bolts. Hopefully these are long enough. If not, we'll get a couple longer bolts, and basically all we're going to have to do is drill these 4 holes out after we cut this out, and then bolt it right to it, and we should be pretty much done. Obviously you have the wires and the hoses and all of that to run as well, but let me start cutting this out, and then we'll get a drill these 4 holes and bolt it on here. So this is not permanent. I am going to clean up all of the edges here just in case a hose is up against it or something. That will never happen actually, based off putting a fitting on the bottom of the valve, and then they have to bend anyway. So you'll never hit these with the hose, but obviously you don't want to cut your hand or anything like that. So all these rough edges will definitely get cleaned up, but we're going to bolt this on now and just make sure everything fits as it should. Alright guys, so I made a slight mistake when I was doing this. I didn't sit this plate on here the correct way, which is why you see 2 holes here now. When I went to bolt the valve back in, it was sitting on an angle, and that's when I realized it was in the wrong way. So I had to grab our mag drill and re-drill a hole over here rather than drilling through the stainless. This steel plate is much easier to drill through than the stainless is, and I already had this notch cut out for it, so it made much more sense to drill a new hole in the plate than to drill one in the stainless here. Anyway, we should be able to bolt this up perfect now, and everything will line up. There we go. That's on there. Oh, actually, let me set this ring on. That'll fit. All right, we're good. We're good. That'll fit over there. Yep. All right, bolts. Get this covered. All right, guys, we're all complete. Got everything cleaned up. All we have left to do is run the wires into the cab. I have them just sitting up here right now, but I think this is super clean like that. One thing we were talking about is maybe making a stainless box that'll hinge up right here. That way, when we're loading with salt is not falling on top of this. It is sealed off pretty nice, but obviously salt is pretty corrosive, so we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. You can see where the hoses run in to the bottom there. The electric comes out right here. The hole that was in the plate is over here, so obviously that's why I drilled a new hole, because we had this notch right there for the electric. So basically all that's left is running this electric, which we are going to use one of the holes in the bottom of the cab there, but we're going to drill a hole in this channel here, something like that. And basically we just need to get this plug through there. We'll go into the middle of the frame there, somehow nice and neat, up to the cab, and then poke up into the cab. There's one wire that runs from the cab to power, and then you have your controller with both of the plugs on the back there. So pretty neat setup. Once this is complete, it is going to be very nice, and I think this is a much better option than what we originally did on this truck. It is kind of like a trial and error type of thing. We are being the test dummies for this, so it is what it is, but hopefully this setup is going to work very nice. That is going to wrap it up for this one. If you guys have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time. Peace.